Hello and welcome. Our top story for today is from South Africa. The country is already at odds with US President Donald Trump, and it could further irk him right at the beginning of the new year. Upcoming naval drills. South Africa will be hosting Iranian and Russian warships for naval exercises. And guess who is leading it? China, another country that Trump has issues with the exercise. Its name is Will for Peace 2026. It will be held in South African waters from January the 9th to January the 16th. The naval drills were supposed to be held in November 2025, but they were postponed because of the G20 summit held in Johannesburg. South Africa says the exercise is a BRICS initiative. BRICS originally had 5 members: Brazil, China, India, Russia and South Africa. 6 new members were admitted between 2024 and 2025, and Iran was one of those nations. BRICS has repeatedly drawn Trump's fury. Last year, he threatened to punish BRICS nations by slapping them with tariffs if they tried to weaken the US dollar in global trade. Speaking of Iran, Trump has said he will not allow Tehran to rebuild its nuclear program. The 12-day conflict between Iran and Israel, which drew in the United States in June 2025, was devastating. More than 1,100 people were killed in Iran, with 28 deaths reported in Israel. And now, with Iran participating in naval drills in South African waters, tensions between Pretoria and Washington are expected to rise further. Before anywhere else, the Ramaphosa government is facing backlash at home itself. The Democratic Alliance, which is part of the Ramaphosa-led coalition government, has raised concerns over these drills. The DA has objected to Iran's inclusion in the drills, saying it would affect South Africans' non-alignment policy.
Hosting the military forces of Iran and Russia is not neutral. These are sanctioned states involved in active conflicts and serious human rights abuses. Allowing them to conduct military exercises in South African waters sends a clear political signal, whether government admits it or not. South Africa's policy of non-alignment is being hollowed out. South Africa's defense relationships with democratic countries are weakening. Joint military exercises with the U.S. have been canceled. U.S. participation in the Africa Aerospace and Defense Exhibition failed, and diplomatic tensions are increasing. These outcomes are the predictable result of confused foreign policy and poor political judgment.
South Africa is making waves on the global stage, and Washington is not happy. For the first time, the southern tip of Africa is hosting joint naval drills with Iran and Russia, two nations long at odds with the United States. Warships are maneuvering, live-fire exercises are underway, and behind the scenes, high-stakes diplomacy is quietly unfolding. The United States president is reportedly on edge, weighing how far to push, while South Africa asserts its independence in a region long dominated by Western influence. Could this be a turning point, a bold pivot away from the West and a signal that global power dynamics are quietly shifting? The world is watching, tensions are rising, and the consequences could be far-reaching. What happens next may redefine alliances forever.
In a move that has quietly sent ripples across global capitals, South Africa is hosting naval exercises involving Iran and Russia, a decision that has reportedly put the United States president on high alert. The sudden convergence of these powerful nations along the southern coast of Africa signals more than a routine military drill. It is a calculated geopolitical message, one that could redefine alliances, trade relationships, and influence in the region. The scenario unfolding is tense, subtle, and fraught with implications for global stability. At first glance, naval drills might seem like standard exercises, mere shows of force or preparation for hypothetical scenarios. Yet, the scale and participants of this operation make it anything but ordinary. Russia, with its long-standing interest in projecting naval power beyond the Arctic and the Mediterranean, sees South Africa as a strategic gateway to the Indian Ocean and the Southern Atlantic. Iran, often isolated diplomatically and under heavy economic sanctions from the United States, gains a rare opportunity to demonstrate its ability to coordinate with distant powers on an international stage. For South Africa, the hosting role is equally symbolic. It positions itself as a pivotal player capable of engaging with global powers on its own terms, not simply as a regional observer. The choice of South Africa is not incidental. Historically, the nation has navigated a delicate balancing act between Western powers and emerging global players. While traditionally aligned with the West through trade agreements and diplomatic channels, there have been increasing signs of outreach to Russia and China, reflecting a desire to diversify economic partners and assert independent foreign policy decisions. Hosting Iran and Russia's naval drills is the latest, most visible demonstration of this pivot. The exercises involve multiple warships, live-fire drills, and coordinated maneuvers that have drawn the attention of intelligence analysts across Europe and the Americas. Observers note the precision and scale, suggesting months of planning, and hinting that South Africa intends to signal more than mere hospitality. It is signaling strategic relevance. The United States president's response has been notably sharp. While public statements remain carefully worded, behind closed doors, there are reports of intense deliberations over potential sanctions, diplomatic warnings, and even adjustments to military presence in the region. The concern is clear. Allowing Iran and Russia to conduct operations so close to strategic sea lanes without pushback could embolden other nations to challenge Western influence in unexpected quarters. South Africa, meanwhile, maintains that the drills are purely defensive, aimed at regional security cooperation and anti-piracy measures. Yet, the optics are hard to ignore, and in the world of international politics, perception often carries as much weight as reality. The implications of this maneuver are multi-layered. Economically, South Africa could benefit from increased trade and investment opportunities with Russia and Iran, both eager to deepen ties in Africa. Strategically, it gains bargaining power by positioning itself as a partner to both Western and non-Western powers. South Africa strengthens its hand in negotiations over resources, trade deals, and technology transfers. Politically, however, the decision carries significant risk. Alienating the United States could have consequences for foreign aid, military support, and multilateral agreements. Moreover, this visible alignment with nations often at odds with Western interests may trigger pressure from regional neighbors wary of entanglement in global tensions. From Washington's perspective, the situation is unsettling. The United States has long viewed the southern tip of Africa as a critical maritime juncture, linking the Atlantic and Indian Oceans and controlling access to vital shipping routes. The notion that Iran and Russia could operate freely in these waters without Western oversight is alarming, and it underscores a broader pattern. Nations once assumed to align with the West are increasingly exploring relationships outside the traditional sphere of influence. The president's advisors are reportedly examining options ranging from diplomatic engagement to economic incentives designed to sway South Africa back toward a more Western-aligned stance. Yet, the nation's leadership appears committed to asserting autonomy, a move that could redefine its role in global politics for years to come. The strategic calculations behind South Africa's decision are complex. Hosting naval drills with Iran and Russia is a high-stakes demonstration of sovereignty and influence, yet it is also a test of how far the nation can push the boundaries of its international relationships. By signaling openness to non-Western powers, South Africa sends a message to global markets, investors, and policymakers. It is not beholden to any single bloc. This message resonates in a world where trade disputes, energy security, and military alliances are constantly shifting. The country's leaders may see this as a chance to leverage their geographical position and diplomatic relationships to attract investment, enhance military capabilities, and increase their negotiating power on the world stage. The ripple effects extend beyond diplomacy and economics. Security analysts warn that these drills could inadvertently escalate regional tensions. Neighboring nations must now account for the presence of advanced Russian naval technology and Iranian tactics within striking distance of critical maritime routes. There is also the possibility that other nations may respond by bolstering their own military presence, potentially triggering a subtle arms race or increasing the likelihood of miscalculations. For South Africa, this raises the stakes. The country must balance the benefits of strategic independence with the risks of alienating powerful allies and inadvertently provoking regional instability. The narrative behind these maneuvers is rich with intrigue. Imagine intelligence meetings in Pretoria, cables exchanged between capitals, and advisors calculating every potential repercussion. While the public sees coordinated naval exercises, behind the scenes, decisions are likely influenced by a mixture of national pride, economic opportunity, and cautious diplomacy. The timing of the drills, coinciding with heightened global tensions involving Russia and Iran, further amplifies their significance. Analysts note that the optics of warships maneuvering in the South Atlantic carry symbolic weight. They convey strength, assertiveness, and a willingness to challenge expectations. The U.S. reaction, though measured publicly, is sharp in its subtext. Pressure campaigns, subtle threats, and diplomatic overtures are being carefully deployed to ensure South Africa remains aware of the potential costs of this alignment. Yet, history has shown that nations capable of balancing competing powers often gain substantial leverage. By maintaining a degree of ambiguity and flexibility, South Africa may extract concessions, secure trade advantages, or expand its role in international forums. The delicate dance involves projecting independence while avoiding provocation that could escalate into conflict. Economically, the stakes are equally compelling. Russia and Iran are actively seeking new markets and opportunities in Africa, particularly in energy, infrastructure, and technology. South Africa's participation could unlock access to investment, loans, and technical expertise that would be difficult to secure from Western partners alone. In parallel, the nation must weigh the potential cost of strained relations with the United States, including reduced foreign aid, diplomatic friction, and possible sanctions that could disrupt trade. The calculation is intricate. Short-term gains from new alliances must be balanced against long-term strategic stability and credibility. The geopolitical chessboard is further complicated by historical context. South Africa's engagement with Western powers has long been a cornerstone of its foreign policy, yet past experiences, including frustrations over trade disputes, political pressure, and conditional aid, have prompted reconsideration. Partnering with Russia and Iran for naval exercises is a bold, tangible expression of autonomy. It communicates to the world that South Africa will pursue national interests even when they conflict with traditional alliances. For Washington, this development represents both a challenge and a warning. The era of unquestioned influence over strategic partners may be waning. Narrative tension is heightened by the secrecy and subtlety surrounding these maneuvers. The exercises themselves are carefully orchestrated, and public statements emphasize cooperation and regional security, but analysts read between the lines. Every fleet movement, every signal from radar to communications, carries implications for global observers. The suspense is palpable. Will South Africa manage to balance these relationships without triggering a diplomatic backlash? Can it secure the economic and strategic benefits it seeks without compromising long-term stability? The answers remain uncertain, and that uncertainty is precisely what makes this story captivating on the world stage.